Hmm. Well, let's keep on. Happy Friday. I hope you guys are having a great week to extend into your weekend. A lot of good basketball, a lot of good hockey tonight. I hope you guys are having a good time. As always, if you guys enjoy this content, please click like, click subscribe. Again, we are growing this channel. We appreciate you guys. Dakorien Moore is a free agent now, so we're going after him hardcore. I don't sweat the Texas crystal balls because Ohio State's got deep pockets, just like Texas. So I think we have a good shot at him. And we have an SEC transfer joining the fold who will replace your hardcore. So we're going to get into all that. We have his film to break down and get all that. So as always, we appreciate you guys. Nevada, we have gone through kind of a little bit of a quiet time with the transfer portal. I think there are some people that thought there'd be more activity, but we have a transfer portal safety from South Carolina joining the fold. Dakorien Moore is the kind of star of the show because he is a 5-star number one receiver in the country, and nobody nabs more 5 stars than Brian Hartline. What were your thoughts with Dakorien all of a sudden decommitted from Texas A&M, and he is going, or excuse me, LSU, and he got a lot of stuff from all the major players: Texas, Miami, Florida State, but Ohio State seems to have a nice little beat on him. And I think with what Brian is doing with his first round wide receivers, that he's got a very compelling reason to become a Buckeye. But your thoughts on Dakorien Moore?
Well, it's interesting because, as soon as Dakorien Moore, look, on the Dakorien Moore situation, we've been waiting for the decommit from LSU because until that happened, all this was just kind of chatter. All this was just kind of, idle you know, curiosity on the part of Ohio State and some other schools. LSU's been really successful in terms of putting wide receivers into the league. And there was a real question not whether he was going to decommit or whether, like I said, or whether or not this was just all talk. So the decommitment was huge news. And I went to my all things on Dakorien Moore source, Funky Buck, who's got some really good contacts when it comes to Dakorien, namely some of the other OSU recruits and some of the other people. And they think Ohio State's right there. And I mean, you don't believe them because those guys are always optimistic you're going to get guys, but they generally have a pretty good idea of whether kids are just kind of clout chasing or whether they're really going for it or whether they're really buying in what Ohio State's saying. So when Dakorien Moore decommitted, you see these crystal balls come in for Texas. And let me tell you, there is nothing more worthless in the world than the stupid crystal ball. Because the crystal ball guys, it's just one guy putting it in, and then other people try to tail him because they're trying to do it. Nobody has any information. Nobody knows what's going on with the kids. And it's become kind of a joke. It's almost like a contrarian indicator at this point in time. But let me tell you what on Dakorien Moore. Ohio State thinks they're right there. Ohio State thinks they're the chalk. Ohio State thinks that, it's a 3-team race now between Texas, Ohio State, and Oregon, who are all going to get official visits. LSU has gone from the place he was committed to out of the picture, which is kind of crazy. So LSU is no longer a player on this, and it's going to come down to Oregon, Ohio State, and Texas. And Ohio State has warmed up the NIL machine. They've kind of cranked that thing up. They're backing up the truck. They're getting ready. Brian Hartline's getting ready to give his best pitch. And the people at Ohio State are very, very optimistic. So don't believe the crystal ball silliness. Ohio State is the chalk in this. And this has a chance to go down as a truly legendary class, as Ohio State could make almost a clean sweep of all the top players in the country. And Dakorien Moore would be right up there near the very top. So very, very good news, massive news, and reason for optimism for Ohio State fans.
Yeah, I think with Dakorien, obviously, LSU had a lot of momentum with 2 first-round wide receivers in this past class. Malik Nabers obviously being a superstar, potentially guy. But Dakorien, I think he doesn't trust what's going on at LSU with Brian Kelly and the quarterback play. But at Ohio State, when you've got Ryan Day, Brian Hartline, Chip Kelly, if you go there, they can develop you into what you need them to be. You can develop into being a first round guy. And again, if I was a kid like Dakorien, who's the first overall guy in the entire receiver class, there is no way in the world I would go anywhere other than Ohio State with Brian Hartline, with Ryan Day, with as much as we throw the ball, 70% of the time we're throwing the ball. I think that it has to benefit your future because again, this is a business decision. This is not just hey, I like Ohio State. Hey, I just like the campus. Hey, I just like the people. I like the major, whatever. This is a business decision to get to the league. And these guys all want to go 3-and-out. They all want to be monsters, and I think that he's got the chops to do it. I mean, he could be another Garrett Wilson. Garrett Austin went top 10. I think Dakorien is kind of a similar mold, 5'11", 175. He's from Duncanville. Obviously, with Amari Abar, we whiffed heavily on Duncanville, but I think Dakorien is a guy that can make up for that. So, again, I think that this is a positive for Ohio State, especially given what LSU just did in the draft when they had 2 first-round wide receivers, a first-round quarterback, and he still said, you know what, I don't really trust it. I don't want to sign my name to it. Obviously, there'll be some NIL component involved, but I think Dakorien could be a monster for us. And I think that with what Brian's doing with Ryan Day and Chip Kelly, it could be a wrap. And again, I'm gonna toss this film on real quick, but Nevada, what would Dakorien do for our overall offense? Because he's not JJ because he's not that kind of guy, but he's a smaller, quicker JJ. JJ is just a pure monster. So, what are your thoughts on Dakorien?
Yeah, like you said, he's not J.J. Smith. J.J. Smith is the big Marmaduke type of wide receiver that's going to go out there and just go up and over top of guys and get balls. But no, this is he's smaller, but absolutely electric, big burst, big top, take the top off guy. Can operate in the slot, can operate on the outside. Frankly, he can play both sides of the ball, can return kicks. I mean, he can do it all. There's a reason why he's the number one wide receiver in the class in consideration for the number one player in the class. And look, I having said all that, and I'm excited about Dakorien Moore. Look, our wide receiver room is ridiculous, and our wide receiver room is going to be ridiculous whether or not we get Dakorien Moore or not. However, it would really be nice to get him. It would, and that's an unbelievable position to be in as an Ohio State fan, where you're like, look, this guy would do. He would, as far as I'm concerned, he would be the icing on the cake on a class that's already, near legendary status in terms of recruiting. But I try not to get too over the top about recruiting. We've talked about the Olave class. Chris Olave was the lowest ranked player in the class, and Chris Olave turned out to be the best player in the class. So you never know. Dakorien Moore, no, he's got all the earmarks. I think he could really thrive in our Ohio State system. I think he could really thrive under Brian Hartline's tutelage in the Ryan Day, Chip Kelly offense with the quarterbacks that we have. But I'm not sweating. I'm not like gripping like if we don't get him, then all hope is lost. But I really think we're going to get him. And if you said gun to my head, Nevada, who do you think is going to get Dakorien Moore? I'm like, I think Ohio State's going to get him. And I can tell you what, Ohio State thinks they're going to get him. So, like I said, definitely exciting. And I think he'd be great in our offense, and I'd love to see it.
Yeah, I think Ohio State likes to go to war versus guys that are because if they put the statistics up, if they put the little PDF flyer up about, hey, by the way, this is the guy that we got. This is the guy we took to go first round. Garrett Wilson, Olave, both first rounders. JMO going first round right after those two. Jackson's with a Jigba. Emeka's right in line to do that. Obviously, Marvin is the highest drafted receiver in Ohio State history. So I don't know how you can't sell that to a kid like Dakorien, who's a monster. And again, we're watching this film, and I'm like, this is a guy that he's like a JJ. He's not physically like a JJ because JJ, JJ is 6'6", he's 6'4", 220. Probably the most physically gifted receiver in Ohio State history from his size, speed, weight ratio. But I think when you go through the whole ticket, you start to understand that with a kid like this, he wants to be developed into being a first round pick. And again, that's when these kids are figuring out where they want to go. Again, as much as it's great about recruiting and the Southern hospitality and NIL, it's like eventually you're just like, who is going to make me into a first round pick NFL wide receiver? And it's like, dude, if I'm Brian Hartline, I mean, I'm like, look, check the resume. Look, how many receivers from Texas have gone in the first round? Xavier already went first round this year, but it's like, versus Ohio State the last 5 years, it's a cakewalk for Brian. So Brian's gonna close this one out. But this kid, I mean, he's got nitrous in his cleats. He runs like a deer. He's a monster, and I think that he's got major upside. Especially comes to Ohio State. 'Cause I think he provides something we can do. If we get him, Jamie Frist, and Vernell Brown, would be the best wide receiver class we've ever had. If we lead for Vernell, Jamie is going to be a fist fight. Dakorien will be a fist fight, but it's a fist fight, right? We have prime Mike Tyson, prime Muhammad Ali as our fist fighters with Brian Hartline with our NIL group. So I feel good about it. Again, I watched film. I was kind of doing a little bit of research all day. But Dakorien, and that was a great shot of him blocking. I'm going to rewind this because you don't see receivers blocking much. So when you see the spot shadow right here, slot guy right here, and he goes and crushes the safety, near and dear to my heart. Because again, we don't have enough of this right now with our current lineup. And he goes and smokes the safety, puts him on his butt, and it allows the running back to get an extra 4 or 5 yards. So I appreciate that kind of play. I think this kid in the slot will be a monster. And again, Duncanville is a monstrous team in Texas, so I'm excited to see about everything he can do. Nevada, it's hard to rank him with all of the kids that we've recruited and added to the program over the last 7-8 years under Brian Hartline's reign since 2018. But where do you think Dakorien Moore ranks? Because again, I don't want to put him above JJ. He's not above JJ. He's probably tied with Ennis, Tate, some of these guys. But what are your thoughts on him?
Yeah, I mean, I think he's in his Tate. I think he's, I think Vernell Brown's right there with him. Um, I mean, I think that he's that kind of a wide receiver, and those guys are all terrific. I mean, the story hasn't been written yet on Carnell Tate or Brandon. We don't know what kind of Brandon Innes, what type of wide receivers are actually going to be at Ohio State. We've seen glimpses, but we don't really know yet. Um, but he's got that kind of a potential. He's a guy that he will see the field. He'll get every opportunity to do it, and if it comes together for him, he can do it. I mean, he could be a star. There's no reason he couldn't be Chris Olave or Garrett Wilson. I mean, he's got that kind of ability. He's got that kind of an upside. While nothing in life is guaranteed, he certainly is in that category of wide receiver. And again, it's rare air when you're number one. It's one thing to be a high 4-star or a low 5-star, whatever, but to be number one, you got to have that little extra something, that little extra burst, that little extra ability, especially at his size, because he's not just going out and just going over the top of guys or just out beasting them. He's doing it with quickness, short area quickness, movement, fluidity, and
Yeah.
that's why I think he'd be so dynamic, and especially for Chip Kelly. Chip Kelly thrives with guys like this, and I think Chip Kelly would just would love to go to war with a guy like this and see what he could do.
Yeah, I mean that's the thing. He's a guy who's like I said, he's a monster. Look at him being a football player, going picking up a bouncing punt, and goes and gets some yardage. But he's the guy that's got a lot of ability. Again, you put him, imagine him with JJ and Carnell and Brandon, and it's gonna be scary because again, I know Texas had Xavier Worthy go in the last round, or excuse me, the last pick of the first round, but um, this kid's got more ability than that type of kid. He is exceptionally shifty. He's very smooth with catching the ball. And I think that again with Ohio State's offense, like I don't know how in the universe if you're a top drawer wide receiver, you don't pick Brian Hartline, Ryan Day, and Chip Kelly to develop you, because the quarterback play will always be top notch at Ohio State. The conference isn't as difficult as the SEC, so you'll be able to showcase in a major. And again, I'm not saying the kid's scared, but it's just like it makes your life a lot easier when things go that way. So I love this kid's film. I think he's absolutely fantastic, and I think he's got a major upside. Nevada, we also got a transfer today from the SEC, so we're going to get into that a little bit. But what were your thoughts? Again, we were floating along looking for a kid in the portal. Again, it's tough with the portal because I get excited about a kid like Keenan Nelson, but with Keenan Nelson, he isn't projected to be a starter. He's not projected to be a major impact player. Nevada, am I wrong about that? I mean, when you look at Keenan Nelson, kind of basically taking Jihad Carter's spot, what are your thoughts on that? Hang on 1 second, bringing Nevada back. Nevada, I was talking about Keenan Nelson taking Jihad Carter's spot. What are your thoughts on that? Like, how excited do you get when we get a commitment from somebody who isn't projected to be a starter, a day one starter? He's more of a depth guy. Is that good? Is that bad? Is that indifferent? But what are your thoughts on Keenan Nelson portaling to Ohio State?
Yeah, it's a little bit of a head scratcher, but it was explained to me this way from one of my sources at Ohio State because I asked the same question. I'm like, kind of a weird portal move. And they're like, look, we have space, we have scholarship available right now, and you have a kid who was a highly regarded coming out of high school, hasn't really lightly played there at South Carolina, but really willing to come in and really bust his butt on special teams and be a type of guy that's kind of an energy guy for the program and kind of
Yep.
do those little things that you need to have done. And what's the downside if you can't do that? If you can't provide that spark for you, then you wasted a scholarship. These are 1-year deals anyway, and you've got one available. So that's how it was kind of explained to me. It makes sense. Are they looking for him to come in and start and play significant minutes? No way, no how on this Ohio State defense. This Ohio State defense in 2024 it's the best defense that I've seen since I've been following Ohio State in my adult life in terms of doing it. It's the most complete defense, and I'm talking about all the way from coordination to having guys like James Laurinaitis as your linebacker. Little things like that. Obviously on top of Walton and Larry Johnson and Jim Knowles and everything else. I mean, it's a complete staff. It's a complete roster. It's deep. It's experienced, and it's not like it's a defense that didn't play well last year. Balled out last year. Statistically, was one of the best defenses in school history. So a guy like this isn't going to come in after missing spring ball and wow, he's going to come out and do something down the road. Could he contribute? Sure. Could he help us on special teams this year? Maybe. So I think it's worth taking a chance, and I think that's how Ohio State's viewing it.
Yeah, I totally agree. And when you have like the amount of experience you have at St. Joe's Prep, I mean, again, it's 22 to 24, so there's a little bit of overlap with Bowman and Kyle McCord. So you get a little bit of intel on a kid like Keenan Nelson. Obviously, his career is not panning out the way he wanted to at South Carolina, so he's coming through. And we'll see what he can do. I'm excited about him. I'm gonna toss this film on here real quick. Nevada, are these the kind of guys in the portal that you think for the second portal run, when we go from spring ball to summer practice, are the ones that are more beneficial to the team as opposed to guys that are surefire starters? I feel like when you go shopping in the portal post regular season bowl game, you're going after the guys like Caleb Downs, Will Howard. I feel like this second round is more of an ancillary. Hey, we got to plug some holes. We got to do what we got to do. What are your thoughts on that?
I think this is what the second portal is, and
Yeah.
I think the second portal was overhyped by a lot of, including guys like Hayes Fawcett and some other guys talking about, oh, wait till you see the names, it's going to be crazy, the names are going to be unbelievable, and it didn't make a lot of sense to me. It gave me pause because I thought, wow, maybe there's something I'm just not understanding, and maybe this is the first time that it's going to be this way. But I think the reality is that's what you get in the second portal. In the second portal, you're looking at guys like this, special teams types of performers, guys that can kind of help you with depth, guys that kind of help you, down the line, maybe in future years, maybe in future seasons as they've had a chance to kind of develop and kind of acclimate to your system. But the idea that you're going to be grabbing stars or, last year, it kind of puts it in perspective last year when we got Josh Simmons, in the portal, as a starting tackle in the second wave. That's really unusual, and that's not something that's I don't know if it's I won't say it's not replicatable because you never know what's going to happen in the future, but it's not what you should expect out of the second portal. The second portal really is spare parts, spare pieces. I mean, the Michigan
Yeah.
State safety, what Jade Magnum just went to Michigan. I mean that's what you can find guys. You can find guys, and if
Yeah.
you're a bad team or you got big holes, maybe there are guys that can help you. But think about how much a guy would have to be to kind of come in and help you. Hasn't gone through any spring ball, hasn't been through any part of the install, and is going to help you this year. I mean, you'd have to really be in a little bit of a pickle to have that situation kind of manifest itself. So, but I think that's kind of what the second portal is.
I totally agree. I think it's more of fill the spots, get a little bit of depth, and get ready for that run. Because a lot of the guys in the second portal, I don't feel like they're looking for starting spots. I think Josh Simmons found one because we were so weak at tackle, but he found a spot. But I think if you're looking for a starter if you're a top tier program, an A tier, S tier program, you don't have a shot when you're looking at guys in that portal. So we'll see. All right, Nevada. I know that you're dying to talk about this because of Scoop Dreams, but we're going through some super chats. Oh my God, Donnie, thoughts on NCAA 25's game trailer? Nevada, you probably don't even know what NCAA 25 is or what the game trailer looked like, but I was going to break it down in our huddle, but it got zinged by YouTube. Are you excited about the new video game coming out?
Well, as I said yesterday, any video game that's got Donovan Edwards with his negative 82 speed or whatever it is in it doesn't excite me as much as it should. And so I don't know why they didn't go with other guys. I didn't know why they didn't go with a better Michigan. If you're going to go with a Michigan player, you feel like you need a Michigan player, go with Will Johnson or go with somebody who can actually play, not a bum like Donovan Edwards. But I hear they've got some like NIL stuff, or you get stuff based upon how likable you are and relatable you are, stuff like that. There's some different modes or something like that. But maybe you could break down all the little nuance that is new to the new video game that didn't exist before.
Well, I think that it'll be very interesting to see if it's the same engine as Madden, which it looks like. I mean, a lot of the models look the same as Madden, which is not a good thing because the college football game was always better than Madden. Madden usually in the olden days, 14 had a little bit better gameplay because they would tweak stuff that was wrong in the NCAA. But when you watch the models from the video, if you guys haven't seen the NCAA video game, it's very much. It looks just like Madden. You see the guys from Clemson run out touching Howard's Rock. You see the guys from Notre Dame running down the staircase and touching the sign that says "Who wants to," whatever the champion thing is that they do. You see the Michigan guys running through the banner. So it looks very similar. I also don't know if that means it's good or it's bad or it's indifferent. So until the gameplay comes out, it's hard to really say how good it's going to be. But they're trying to do everything right. I mean, the games are going to be ultra expensive because they're paying the players now. So they're paying Quinn Ewers and Donovan Edwards and um, Travis Hunter to be on the cover of the game. So I'm sure they got nice 6-figure deals to do that. But I'm excited for it. I think it'll be a good shot in the arm for college football. I think it'll be fun to see. How does is it a fully fleshed out game, or is it kind of just they throw it up in the air and hope that people buy it because it's college football and they haven't had it since 2014 during the
No, no,
pandemic?
no, no, no.
Go
Now,
ahead.
wait a second. Now, I heard a rumor that they have like a couple of clips of Ohio State in there, but that they're only of Ohio State losing, and that including one of them is the 2007 Illinois game where they have like Illinois hosting the Illabuck thing, that stupid turtle or whatever that thing was when they beat you guys, and that the guy that did the trailer is like a big Michigan fan or like big Michigan supporter, and that's the different. Those are the only clips of Ohio State in the thing. Is that true, or is that urban funky legend?
Excuse me. It might be an urban legend. I'm not sure. Hopefully they'll show that because it's literally from 17 years ago at this point, and there's been way bigger upsets and way bigger champions and stuff. So if they want to draw back to when I was playing, when the Stone Age, when Triceratopses were running around the world in 2006 and 7, I'm good with it. I'm at peace with it, but it would be very interesting if that's what they drew on. But I think that with the advent again, something that was very interesting and kind of sobering to me is when I saw Quinn Ewers wearing the Texas jersey with the SEC logo on his chest, because I hadn't seen that yet. But it's like, when you see all of a sudden Texas has the SEC logo, I was like, oh wow, this is real. This isn't, they're not in the Big 12 anymore. They don't have the little X with the twos, the 2 1s on it. So very interesting. Very excited about it. I think it's going to be fantastic. I think it'll be interesting when the rankings come out to see who's in it. The funniest thing about it from an Ohio State standpoint is that the guy who's on the extended edition cover is Quinshon Judkins. And Quinshon is the guy who obviously wasn't here last year, but he's the guy who's in the Ohio State helmet and all that. So it's very interesting that he was the guy that got picked to be on the extended cover as opposed to Trey or Jack or JT or whoever, Emeka. But again, I don't think that's a bad thing. And again, it's a negotiations thing. So those guys might not want to be on the cover. They might not have wanted to do it for whatever the amount of money that Quinshon got. And they might have said, hey, screw it. If you guys aren't going to pay us, we're going to do it. So Quinshon took it. But I thought that was something that was kind of interesting. Now, are you surprised that the on the deluxe edition that the guy on the cover is Quinshon Judkins, despite the fact that he hasn't played a game for Ohio State yet, but he is a first-team All-SEC running back?
Yeah, I mean, look, he's as good as anybody. I mean, you think about the biggest stars in the Ohio State team, and and Quinshon's certainly up there along with Caleb Downs, and neither one of those guys played for Ohio State last year. So it's a team that's just loaded with stars, but there's no superstar. There's no like that one guy that's it's a Chase Young led team or it's a Justin Fields led team. It's just a lot of, I wouldn't say even really good. It's like really, 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 really good players all on the same team. And I think that's what makes the 2024 team so special is the depth and the number of guys that we have that are potential first round draft picks in the NFL draft and potential superstars in college.
I totally agree. Why not today? Excuse me. Says for 5. Appreciates my friend. Was wondering if you guys had any practical tips or rules of thumb to win money long term at sports betting. Despise selling ducks on Poppy. Laugh out loud. Love the show. Well, Southampton can burn after what they did today, but other than that, I'm in good shape on soccer unders. I think that live betting is good. But Nevada, what are your thoughts? Some practical tips on the rules of thumb to win money long term at sports betting.
Well, first of all, you have to remember to win money long term at sports betting is extremely, extremely, extremely hard. And that, if you're going to try to do that, then if you really want to try to do that, then you have to find some sort of micro market or something that you can kind of understand and dominate. Like Kirk and I bet a lot of soccer unders and things like that, but because you're talking about totals on obscure soccer games. Like I've got a soccer total going on a game right now involving Charlotte versus Tobacco Road Football Club in the USL. So it's like it's that actually isn't over, but Dagestan Poppy does those so well because he focuses on MMA. If you're trying on the bigger markets, on Major League Baseball, on the NBA, or especially the NFL, the lines are just too sharp. They're just it's
Nevada, you're muted right now. But I totally agree with Nevada as he is muted that the lines are exceptionally sharp. It is hard to beat the sharps in the NFL game. The funny thing is the NBA is very difficult as well because, again, I love watching the NBA. I have no idea how to project the NBA. When you look at the Nuggets and the Timberwolves series and you're just like, Okay, the Nuggets looked like the best team in the history of basketball for a couple games, and then they come back to Minnesota. They lose by 40. So it's a very difficult projection to see what's going on. So live betting, I think, is the meta because you get a little bit of feel on what's going on. So I think that that's the way to do it and help yourself as best you can. So that's my opinion. Luke Dojo Burke. Thank you for the five. Appreciate you. Why did Alex Boone and Norwell go undrafted despite being NFL starters? Did scouts just overlook OSU lineman at the time? What about Rob Murphy? This is an interesting question. Nevada, I'm going to go into this. Luke Dojo asks for a five. Appreciate you, my friend. Burke, why did Alex Boone and Andrew Norwell go undrafted despite being NFL starters? Did scouts just overlook OSU lineman at the time? What about Rob Murphy? Rob was an interesting circumstance. And again, I was not around Rob at all, but he was the guy that went supplemental draft. I think he was ineligible for his final season. So he had to go supplemental because he was not eligible, which is very tough. So he went in the other draft. He went in the regular draft, probably got in the second, third round. And I don't know where he ended up, who took him to the supplemental, but supplemental stuff. In terms of Alex and Andrew Norwell, two very different circumstances. Obviously, Alex got arrested before the draft. It was at the Super Bowl. He was on a tow truck. It was really bad for Alex. Alex had a severe drinking problem, which he's remedied, and now he's been sober, which is great. Andrew Norwell was a guy that I think a lot of people just overlooked. I mean, I don't even think Andrew Norwell got invited to the combine, but he was a first team All Big Ten guy. He was a tough guy, but he wasn't as pretty as a lot of these guys wanted their O linemen to be. So I think with Norwell, when you're a big, burly, strong, stiff guy, people get obsessed with the bulkiness and they don't see kind of the whole photo of what is going on with the guy from a production standpoint. I think that the hardest part is that these guys are they're obsessed with they want quick and they want measurables and they want good 40 times, good agility, all that stuff. But like Norwell was none of that. But he was a baller when he got on the field. So he got on the field, he could shut down any three technique in the country. Great pass protector. But in a field day kind of circumstance, like a combine or a pro day, he is not going to test well. He doesn't look pretty, but he's a gritty, tough dude. So when he made the Panthers, I was happy for him. When he started playing for the Panthers, I was happy for him. When he signed the biggest guard deal in the history of the NFL, I was happy for him. So I just think it was two wildly different circumstances. I think that Norwell was undermarketed. I think that Booney getting arrested before, obviously before the pro day and the draft was devastating to his stock. And I think people, despite being an all Big Ten left tackle, they're going to 5-1-40, teams pass on him. So I think that was kind of the major issue. Nevada, they asked, why did Alex Boone and Andrew Norwell go undrafted and did scouts just overlook Ohio State lineman at the time? What about Rob Murphy? Your opinion?
Yeah, no, the Norwell was one I was actually semi-close to because I was asking questions about that because it didn't make any sense to me why there wasn't more interest in him. And what I'd gotten at the time, at least the kind of the chatter amongst the NFL around the scouts and the agents was, well, they don't believe that he can play tackle and that guard and interior linemen were not like a high value position at that time in the NFL. And which didn't make any sense to me because he seemed like a versatile guy. I mean, Andrew could play center, he could play guard, he could play tackle on a pinch, he could play anywhere on the line. And it didn't make a whole lot of sense to me at the time. And then as it turned out, the way his career turned out, where he made $100 million, whatever it was, none of it made any sense. So it was just a whiff. As you mentioned with Boone, it was all personal issues. It was all off the field stuff, and that'll derail you quicker than anything. The NFL's looking for character issues to disqualify guys. They've been a little bit more lenient with it lately. Tunsil with his famous wearing the gas mask while smoking marijuana the night before the draft will go down in lore. But he might be the best tackle in football right now. So did it really hurt him? It hurt him that day, but maybe it helped him end up in a place that he needed to be. So I don't know. The NFL is kind of hypocrites when it comes to that stuff, but Booney was immensely talented, enormously talented guy. You know that better than anybody, Kirk. But
Yeah.
you know, had a severe alcohol problem,
Yeah.
and was able to shake it and get straight for a bit in the NFL, and made a lot of money as a result.
Yep. D7, thank you for the 5. Would you rather have a big play receiver that is inconsistent but defense has to respect, or a slot guy that isn't fast but will always catch it? I think it matters how inconsistent is he. It's like, because Teddy, when I think big play, I think Teddy, the 70-yard strike. I think those are huge. Slot guy who isn't fast can catch it. Those are great, but I think that the guy that can take it over the top is huge. Nevada, D70 asks for 5. Would you rather have a big play receiver that is inconsistent, but defense has respect, or a slot guy that isn't fast but will always catch it? Your thoughts?
Uh, I think I'd rather have the slot guy. I've always been fond of those guys that can get, always catch it is not enough for me, but he's got to be able to get open. If he's a guy that can get open and always catch it, um, you know, that's why Anthony Gonzalez was one of my all-time favorite players. Dane Sanzenbacher, we've talked about ad nauseum. I go back to Michael Anise and those guys that are just not the traditional burners, but they can do that, as opposed to the Marquez Valdez Scandling types that can take it over the top and then drop the ball. So yeah, give me the slot guys that can get open and catch it and move the chains. Because I think the modern college football game is all about getting that first down, getting that rhythm going in the offense, and then kind of steamrolling the defense. So I think guys like that are invaluable.
I totally agree. Pooh 12, thank you for the 10. Can you do a full pod? Also being an Ulster member, patience. Can you do a full pod of the worst penalty in OSU history? What's the best one? My opinion is PI gamble. Obviously, that's the easiest one ever. TOT 2020, soft down to Johnson touchdown, allowed for the Natty winning goal line stand. That's easily the best penalty potentially of all time. Worst penalty in OSU history? God, I don't know. That's tough. Nevada, do you have one that rings out in your head as we're doing this? Because I played in a bunch of games, and I'd probably go back to that Illinois game where we had some bad penalties. But what are your thoughts?
Well, a couple the G Scott 15-yard penalty. You talking about worst penalties, like worst committed by a player penalties, or worst calls by the official penalties?
I think it's probably both. I mean, because obviously the G Scott one in my head is the worst that Ohio State's committed because it was so stupid. And in that moment, it's like you give Michigan a free 15 yards, a free first down. It's like it was really bad. But what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, that one. There was a Rose Bowl where Neil Colsey intercepted a pass and then like spiked the ball on the sideline, or just like threw the ball down, and they called him for like taunting a 15-yard. I mean, that one. I still remember my dad getting so angry at that. I don't remember exactly the story, but it was something with Colsey and the ball, and they called a penalty on him. And my dad nearly like busted the TV. He was so angry at that one. So that one always stuck out of my mind. Um, on the flip side, when was it was it Crable or was it Prescott Burgess that drilled Troy Smith going out of bounds in the '06 game for the 15-yarder? I'm sure you've got a vivid memory of that one. I'm sure that was super dumb.
Yeah, it was credible.
Crable, yeah,
Yeah.
so dumb. Thank you, Sean. That was so incredibly dumb.
Thank you, Christ. I mean, that was the
Yeah,
that was like as bad as I've ever seen. I mean, because that was like it was so far out of bounds, it was so far out of pocket, but he did it, and I mean, he ran through it. He acted like he was innocent. It was absolutely terrible. So that's the worst penalty, not in Ohio State history, but in the history of the Ohio State Michigan game. So Pooh Beer, that's what I'm gonna go with because I can't think of one that like a teammate or someone from Ohio State took that was, oh my god, this is the worst thing ever. But it's my opinion. Deb Sobel, thanks for the deuce. If you'd also remember, love the interviews. Any plans for more Nevada OH?
I oh
I've got a bunch of plans for more. I can get Urban, Trussell, David Patterson, a bunch, AJ Hawk, whenever you want. So we'll do more. We've done Orlando, we've done Troy, so we'll get some more. But in the comments, let me know who do you guys want to be the next interviews on BuckeyeScoop.com. Again, we appreciate you guys each and every night. So if you guys have requests, we play all the hits. So let us know what your requests are, as always. So
Terrell
I
Pryor. Terrell Pryor.
Terrell's tough, man. He's a tough kid. I had him. I had him on the hook, and he bailed on me last second. So I love Terrell. I think that Terrell is a guy that doesn't understand how much people like him and how much he did for the program. So he's a little jaded right now. But I love Terrell. I think he's a good dude. But I would love to get Terrell. I think it would be fantastic. Nevada, I think he'd be a absolute gem to get. ZZM,
No,
thank you
no,
for the 10.
hold on. Before we move on from that, the night did it wasn't it something like the night before you had him, then he got into that altercation with the girl that she knifed him, or what? Is that? Am I just dreaming that, or something like that, or was that the way that went down, or did that happen? Not even in sequence or something. But I thought it was like I thought it was
Honestly, I don't
about the same
remember.
time. I thought it was about the same time.
That would have been a great podcast story, but I don't remember. I'm being honest to God.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
I don't remember.
I think that's what I think that's what happened. I think you had him, and then he said no, and then like the next night he got into that altercation where he got knifed, and I was like, Terrell, you should have done the podcast. Then the podcast, you'd have been safe and at home in your bed. Instead, you get knifed by the baby mama. Doesn't there? So, yeah.
Hey,
But I digress.
it happens to the best of us. ZZM, thank you for the 10. I appreciate your Ohio podcast was right. The rest of college football is scared of us at jumping ahead of the narrative, saying we bought the team, but we retained more than NIL. And I love we saw another guy from the SEC, Nevada OH.
I oh
Well, I mean, a lot of teams have tried to buy teams. Like A&M obviously was very famous for trying to buy a team a few years ago, and it didn't work out at all. So I think it's a cute narrative, but you can't buy a team in college football. You gotta make those guys all play together and sacrifice for one another, like with Trey and like with Quinshawn. So I think it's more about the fact that those guys have done really good work on the NL front, and Ohio State is fortified their roster, and they've done a great job more than they've bought a team. But Nevada, what are your thoughts on that?
yeah. I mean, if somebody says, "Oh, you bought the team," I'll be like, "Yeah, we did. Yeah, we did. You're exactly right. I would own it. It's a badge of honor that our NIL is so good that we were able to put it together within the rules. That's the operative thing for all my Michigan fan friends out there. Listen, remember, it's okay to do stuff to take advantage of stuff as long as it's within the rules. And when you break the rules, there's consequences. But for Ohio State, we did everything within the rules. We went out and got kids. We went out and we. I think Ryan Day has managed the roster game about as well as anybody could. He kept all five quarterbacks in his room. He kept guys out of the NFL draft that normally would have gone. He strategically added key pieces. He enhanced his coaching staff. So yeah, I mean, we did buy some pieces, but what 98% of this team is developed by Ryan Day. So, but if anybody wants to say that, yeah, let them talk. Doesn't matter.
Yeah, it's cute, but I think it's fodder at this point. Beach Buck, thank you for the 10. Tim A on Feinbaum Pathetic. You need to represent us versus the SEC. How would a 19 team fare versus LSU? I think we would have given LSU a run for their money. Obviously, they had Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase, Justin Jefferson, so they had probably the best trio of two receivers and a quarterback in the history of college football. But we had Chase Young, we had Toronto, or not, excuse me, we had Hamilton, we had Fuller, we had Okuda. So I mean, we would have been a good matchup for them, much better matchup than Clemson was. So I think we'd have given them a war. It would have been fun. It would have been tough to see how these guys could do versus a real defense, a real team. It was hard to see what Justin Fields had to go through, but hey, it happened. It is what it is. Nevada, again, Beachbuck, thank you for the 10. Tim May on Feinbaum said he was pathetic. You need to represent us on the versus SEC. How would the 19 Ohio State team, which had Fields, Chase Young, Halfley, the whole crew, versus LSU, how would that team have fared?
I mean, it would have been tough. It would have been. I mean, LSU was playing really well that year, but that's why you play the games. I mean, would that have been the largest upset in the history of college football for that 19 team to beat them? No. I mean, that 19 team could play with anybody. You just need to stay in the game early. Don't get blown out. Don't get down 21-0. Stay within yourself in terms of playing. But um, no, I mean that 19 team was so good and so talented, and I mean that was prime Chase Young, um, which to me is like the equivalent of when you had a Bosa or a Will Smith or something like that. So you've got a one man pass rush that commands a double team on almost every single play. And when you have that defensively, you're in every game, and offensively, obviously the weapons we had were absurd. So now we could have played with anybody, and it would have been a heck of a game.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. Sean Rollins, the King of Worcester, appreciates my man. Thank you for the 5. Being an awesome member. Respect to Kirk, Nevada, and the Wrench Crew, Tora, Devin, Kim, and Doreen for doing the show every night. Stay healthy and blessed. Nevada, your thoughts on Sean Rollins giving us some props. Appreciate you, brother. Thank you so much.
Yeah, just appreciate it. I mean, I appreciate everybody showing up. It's like I said, it's just fun to do the show. It for me, it's just like it's such a shot in the arm every day to know that we're going to be kind of recapping everything on in the world of Ohio State or tangentially related to Ohio State. It's fun. It's helped me kind of focus on this 2024 season like no other, and I can't remember ever being as excited about a season as I am now. I'm over the moon excited about the prospects for the Buckeyes, and I can't wait for the season. But these shows are super fun, and I appreciate everybody being here.
Appreciate you. Doreen, what is up, homegirl? Buckeye Scoop family is the best. Shout out to the Taylor family, which is Thomas and Andy Joe. Appreciate you both. Thank you, Kirk, for being you. Peeps, go to Twin Peaks. Support all of the sponsors. Hope to get together. And Nevada, you should join the fun. Nevada OH.
Oh,
Nevada is always fun, even if he's not in the building. He is very omnipresent, so I appreciate you, Nevada. Any thoughts with Doreen as she says that you should join the fun soon?
well, definitely going to join the fun soon. And now, are we? Is there? I heard rumors. I heard rumors through the thing. I'm like Varys with the little birds that are out there talking. I heard rumors of a potential merchandise drop. Is
Yeah,
that true? Or is
yeah.
that like urban legend? Or is that
I think
possible that is happening?
I think tomorrow we're gonna do a merchandise drop. So the gear is fresh. It looks great. So we're gonna get into that. I think it's gonna be very good. I think you guys are gonna be excited about it. So yeah. So the merchandise drop is gonna happen probably tomorrow. So we'll get the store all ready to go, and you guys can shop your hearts out for Father's Day. All new gear, all new clothing, all stuff that you guys requested. So I think it'll be excellent. I think you guys will love it. So yeah, I think you guys will have a good time with it. So yeah, look for the Buckeye Scoop drop tomorrow. We will give you the full rundown tomorrow night's show, 7 p.m. So get ready to rock. So well, Nevada, I think we can wrap this thing up. We're almost to an hour. Your thoughts as we wrap the show?
No, just Dakorien Moore. I mean, Dakorien Moore. Don't listen to the crystal balls. Ohio State's very much in it for the number one player in the country. This LSU decommitment was a long-awaited thing. Weren't sure it was going to happen, but it went down. That's a very, very good thing. It's a massive, massive development for Ohio State, and I'm excited about it. And so keep an eye on that. But we'll have more news on that as it develops.
Yep, absolutely. And I appreciate you guys each and every night. Thank you guys so much for being a part of our program. If you guys enjoy this content, sorry, Doreen, I'll get you off the show. I appreciate you guys. Thank you so much. Again, if you guys enjoy this content, please leave us a like, click subscribe. Also, click that little alert bell. Those are all huge for growing our channel. Again, thank you guys for all that you guys do for growing Buckeye Scoop. Thank you guys for enjoying the content and clicking like and leaving comments. So comment, what do you want to see in the drop? The drop's dropping it tomorrow night. So you guys will be ready to rock and get some new fresh gear for Father's Day. So as always, I appreciate you guys so much. If you guys could shout out where you guys are watching from, shout out who you guys are watching with. Again, thank you so much, Buckeye Nation. And again, thank you so much, Scoop family. We will see you guys tomorrow at 7 p.m. Ready to rock. As always, we appreciate you guys. Go Bucks.